I think I knew at that point that there was going to be something magic that was going to come from this. I think that if you want to be able to, be amazing at something and be an expert in something, I am a big believer, whether people agree with this or not, but starting young has crazy big advantages. And I was like, what? This is not real. This doesn't exist, right? Like, this is surely not a thing. It just showed a life that you could have that was beyond kind of the frameworks or the constructs of a corporate environment.
Person that came on Shark Tank that night, one of the main questions they asked was, how are you growing through paid social?
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Board Pod. This is episode 4.
The top 5% of people who have made podcasts based on the volume of podcasts.
How good, guys. Maybe we'll start when you type in the board, we'll start to come up soon.
Maybe.
Feel that happening. So hopefully that happens soon.
Today we're going to do something different. Rather than us just babble on about our weeks, we're actually going to go back in time and look at the origin story of Vonnimedia.
I'm so excited.
So, Von, you're up. This is your story, not mine.
Woo. What do you want to know?
Tell me about it, where it all began.
As in Vonnimedia?
Yeah.
Well, if I was to go way, way, way back, because I think that there's been a few different critical paths or critical points that then had led to the creation of Vonnimedia and where it started prior to that. And so I would say my first original days of getting exposure to marketing was when I had my YouTube channel when I was younger. So I don't know obviously people know this, but a lot of people may not know this, is that I had a YouTube channel when I was younger, when I was 15. It was my income. I was a content creator, and it was so exciting to be part of that content creator world. And I was able to do brand negotiations and community management and content creation, analytics. I kind of had gotten that buzz from marketing already when I was 15 years of age. So I think that instantly sparked curiosity and just enthusiasm for the industry. And then I think from there, when you are at school, you're very much taught the importance of university if you do choose to do so. And for me, university provided me with a lot of different skills that I wanted to get more exposure in. So even if it was just the soft skills, more discipline, because I just feel like I didn't get enough of it whilst I was at school. Just being able to meet new people, being able to be in a really fun, big campus. I was very drawn to that side of things. So I think being able to go there, but also do my passion in communications, and then that expanded into commerce when I realized I really liked the business side of things. I think that's where it all kind of started to begin. The other piece that I would say that was probably lingering in the background, but I didn't really notice how much that was probably affecting my subconscious, was that in my YouTube pre-roll ads, I was constantly getting the digital nomad, you can work from your laptop, you just need a blog. And I was like, what? This is not real. This doesn't exist, right? This is surely not a thing. But the more and more that I kind of kept getting fed those kind of YouTube pre-roll ads, it just showed a life that you could have that was beyond kind of the frameworks or the constructs of a corporate environment. And so although I didn't feel like I had a substantial base or even the understanding or the skills on what I could run through my laptop, it was in the back of my mind that that exists as an option in life. And so, yeah, that was always in the back of my mind when I started my career.
Who would have known that you've been doing this for now 15 years if we go back to that origin story?
That's true, from 2010 to now. So that's, we're at 2024. There is, 14, 15 years in the making.
What are your views on people starting their careers actually way before their choice of university? In your case, it's I started at 15.
Yeah, huge. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I think that if you want to be able to, be amazing at something and be an expert in something, I am a big believer, whether people agree with this or not, but starting young has crazy big advantages. There's no coincidence that the people who represent F1, for example, and those amazing race car drivers, that they started when they were younger, when they were 4 or 5. Or those amazing dancers that you see. Everyone's oh my gosh, Tate McRae's amazing. It's she started when she was 3. Of course she's going to be amazing. She's been doing it for 15 years. So I see the value in, if you see or identify when you're younger what you're passionate about, start then. It doesn't have to be, kind of all the unglamorous parts of it, but just continue to build up that skill, because 10 years comes around fast. And if you commit to something that you love, you can be really, really valuable from a young age. But it's also never too late. So I don't want to obviously.
It's an unfair advantage that you've had against your competitors who discovered marketing at 21 rather than, in your case, you discovered it at 15?
Yeah, definitely. I think I was already infiltrated in kind of like YouTube learning and getting into all different types of just like ways of life pretty early on, which I think, yeah, has served its purpose pretty well now.
Yeah. And I'd love to dig into the moment you went, okay, this is real. Because there's, we started like Vonnimedia where it came from. But there was a moment in time at some point where you're like, oh, this is actually a business.
It was actually, I've never said this like publicly before. It was my dream to work at Showpo. That was like my ultimate number one business that I wanted to work at. And thankfully and so luckily, I got to work for a brand that was in high alignment with something of the likes of Showpo, with an incredible operator and an incredible director, and very much had the same kind of operating rhythms of like models to content creation to ads to all of the kind of frameworks that you would need to have very similar to them. So I was stoked and so happy that I got all of those skills in that job role. And so that's what's really, I guess, carried the momentum, because I was constantly chasing that adrenaline that I felt in that role around the impact that I was having, which I think you only realize once you kind of leave a role, potentially how special it was as well. So I'm very thankful that that was my first experience as a first job. I think from there, I realized obviously the more reps that you get, the more research that you do, the better that you become at the particular skill. I then just wanted to tell everyone about it. Like whether if I was in the city seeing people or in Double Bay or Melbourne, wherever I was in the world, it was basically like, hi, I'm Von. Are you doing any Facebook ads? Like it was just like, I couldn't wait to ask the question, or like I was just hanging on for like the right in to ask it, because I just knew how much it changed people's lives when done correctly. And so I think that's always driven me. And I think another thing about me as well, which I think is quite humorous, but I also think is the reason why I think Vonnimedia stands to the legs that it does today is if, say, someone's walking past and they're in, I don't know, they were in like my year 6 class or something like that. I don't know. I will literally, I'm so excited to wave at them. I'm so excited to like get their attention and just be like, wow, we are in the same moment right now in 2024, walking past each other, and we have a memory from like 2002. And how special that we get to reconnect and like have a reminiscence over the fact that we have shared memories together. And it's almost just like that onboarding of like a connection again, or at least it adds to the gratitude or the thankfulness of like what that moment in time was, and to see them in like a present tense, I don't know, that lights me up. And so I hate if I see someone, I don't get the opportunity that if I know them that I can't say hi or acknowledge that we have that connection. I did it the other week. I was like, okay, I have to stop this whole like wave at everyone or like say hello to everyone that you know. And so I didn't say hello to this particular person. I like worked with them at a cafe or whatever a long time ago, and I felt awful. And I still do. I'm like, I should have said hello to them. So I think that's something that's really carried me far in the business, because I'm constantly have this love and heart for people. I feel like I'm just a human golden retriever. It's like, I just love everybody. Look, I was very passionate and obsessed with the product. Like that was, no matter what, if someone said to me or talked to me about their business or what they wanted to do, I would say like, you should do Facebook ads or you should do Google ads. And if they didn't want to do it, in my head, I was like, what, so you don't want to grow? Like to me, I just like couldn't fathom someone not using that service, because it is so valuable. So no matter what, I was always going to be driven by that and guided by that. And I don't know, like that was just like, I could get on the table right now and talk about it. Like it's, I don't know. I just am so passionate about the product. So I think when that started to form with such an intensity, I think I knew at that point that there was going to be something magic that was going to come from this. But also, I think when you start building up a team and you start celebrating their wins and you start going through the process of hiring a team, getting an office, I think it definitely gave me the confidence that this wasn't going away anytime soon. And it comes back to the fact that I knew, with people or without people, this innate passion for the product and how powerful it is, unfortunately, wasn't going away.
You and I watched the Shark Tank episode on Wednesday night with one of our clients who's recently signed on, and they were on Shark Tank and signed a investment with Jane Lou.
Yes. Shout out to Tilda Outdoors.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah. Every single person that came on Shark Tank that night, one of the main questions they asked was, how are you growing through paid social? And it was just a reminder to me of like, we are selling a product that all of these very sophisticated investors and experienced business people are asking their business owners, hey, how are you using the product? And how are you using Facebook ads and Google ads and social media to grow your business? It's no longer how many sales you're getting. It's like, how are you doing it through social? And it was a reminder for me of like, wow, we are bang in the middle of like where the current growth tools are for businesses.
Yeah. I've been saying it.
Been saying it for 5 years now, and everyone else is catching up. Okay, so you've been at uni, you've got your marketing degree, you've discovered Facebook ads after you've been watching the blogs and the travelers and on pre-roll YouTube ads. Then what happened?
From there, I then had a dream to go work in fashion marketing and was very blessed. I got that as a goal and as a dream, which was amazing.
You haven't got to where you are now with all wins and wins and wins and wins. Let's go into the nitty-gritty of all the things that may have gone wrong through the process that are that have impacted where Vonnimedia is today.
Yeah. Look, I think a couple of things. One is, at the start, I think I definitely opted to protect people's feelings more than probably giving the right feedback at the time. I think I was very mindful of encouragement and empowerment and supportive and positivity, that when you do that, you actually hold back people's professional development and growth. And so that's an area that I think now I'm a lot quicker and more upfront, and people will know where they stand in terms of their role and responsibility and their performance, which I think has been great. But that is definitely a mistake earlier on, is that I was very kind of, I didn't lean into like those harder conversations as often as I should have, which I do wish that I did a little bit differently, or at least set the tone a little bit different. I think as well, going with your gut and having quick instincts when your mood is stabilized.
What do you mean by mood is stabilized?
Well, I think if you haven't had any water, you haven't had any sleep, you haven't eaten, you know what I mean, or you're just like on this coffee stringe and you're trying to make decisions that impact a variety of different people or clients or circumstances, it's probably not the right frame of mind to make decisions that can have ripple effects and impacts. So I think if you can come back to a point of stabilized mood, and this is just a life lesson, by the way, this is with friendships, this is with conflicts, like this is with everything in life. It's like, get that mood into a stable position that isn't impacted by those swings. And then also just be then on your instincts and on your gut. Because I think I would give a lot of excuses for things, events, people as to why XYZ was occurring, instead of just cutting it off, or instead of just making those decisions based off those gut instincts, which has been a great learning for me. And I think that I'm continually on that journey to be better at that skill. The other thing that I would say is that you should definitely hire for the right culture fit and for the right skill set for what you're looking for, agnostic of location. I think that in the early days, I got so excited when someone was so local or so close to home. But I don't think that should be your reason why you pick someone. And so I almost like operate against that now, where it's like, just because you live around the corner doesn't mean that you are automatically kind of injected into the business. That's good for you, but I actually need to think about what's best for the business, which has been really empowering to have a bit more of a better stance on that now than what.
Yeah, it's these biases that you pick up, or you don't pick up, you don't recognize until I guess you shine a light on yourself and you experience them. So the recency bias or the proximity bias in the past has probably played out more than it has now.
Yeah. Definitely. I think that's just something to keep in mind. Just consider that as, is that gearing your decision? If it is, like maybe just question as to whether that's the best practice for the business. Could be. Might also be a question that you need to kind of reevaluate as well. Yeah, I think just being very open and keeping on the same page with people overall is very important when you're running a business. I think that if there's an alignment on both sides as to like what the role is, what we're doing and what we're expecting, it's like then we all are reading the same tune as to like how we're meant to perform and how we're meant to deliver. And so I think being able to get more consistent and have that as part of our just like journey when you're with us has given us a lot of strength over time. Yeah. Whereas I think initially it was very much just like get stuff done and then we'll figure out all of those like little details later, which I think in hindsight maybe doesn't set up people for like their greatest success in their professional development. And then, the last one that I would say is also just not putting, as a mistake, I would say, is not being as sales focused as we could be. I'm product led in my head, in my mind, in my focus, in my default, which means that when it comes to those closing deals and like getting on the phones, like that is not something that I prioritized or focused on. It was always coming back to the product and the actual delivery of that product, which I think obviously is amazing, produces a lot of trust, produces obviously good results, slows down business growth.
I also don't, I want to build on this sales point because I think one of the areas that we have gotten better at is actually goal setting in the, what we call the sales process, but it's basically like it's like our first date. And so we're actually having a lot more conversations on our first date with clients to actually goal set together rather than jumping to a relationship and not actually setting goals up front. And that is the value of that sales process, doing it properly. It's not like buy my thing, we'll deal with the detail later. We're slowing down the sales process so it's cleaner. I think we've got ourselves into relationships in the past because we jumped to fifth date and we're living together before actually talking about what we both want. And that's just us being like, the product's great, a relationship's amazing, but we need to build a relationship on strong foundation.
I agree. I think that makes such a difference. And it comes back to that alignment, right? And I think that alignment also exists at a client level as well, being able to set all of those foundations. And just because you think like, and you are the expert and you're the consultant that you can just drive it to the moon, you can, but you also have to understand and agree upon where you're both going together. It's not your business, it's theirs, and you're supporting their growth and their goals and also challenging them to be 10x better as well in the process.
Imagine you're sitting in your communications class at uni right now, and you've pulled up a video on YouTube and it's this podcast, and your 21-year-old self is watching you right now. If you could give her any advice, what would it be?
It would be to commit to your dreams, commit to them. If you commit to them, you will achieve them. If you think that you will, you are much more likely to. And if you don't hit the moon, you'll land amongst the stars. I know, cheesy. Also, write your goals down. I know I'm getting into more that side of the things, but if it's in your head, imagine that like it cannot happen unless you write it down and it's visible. If it's in your head, no one can see it. So how is it meant to actually be there for someone to see? And then I'd say from there, also be part of that goal as much as possible in any aspect that you can. So if you want to live in a certain area, go driving in that certain area, go join a community in that area, be a part of what you want to be. Because without it, then once again, you're kind of not being as if you're already there, if that makes sense. So like kind of like those foundations and those layers. So when I was building up Vonnimedia, I was spending a lot of time in Sydney CBD, Double Bay, like the eastern suburbs. I loved the business owners and operators that were out there. Like I was actively being in that area. I lived in, where did we live? Kirrawee? I don't know. We didn't live there, but I constantly put myself in the environments where I could show up and be around the people that I wanted to help. And so I think that's another piece of advice is like, don't be afraid to put yourself there. And sure, it may seem unusual or not what everyone else does, but isn't that the point? Like we have a trillion different data points that make us who we are. There's no way that someone's going to match you entirely, and they shouldn't. And greatness comes from being able to do something different and being able to take those risks and those bets, even if it doesn't make sense or there's no kind of like exact blueprint. There are some. So look out for them too. Listen to podcasts where people have done something similar to you before. Get the kind of understandings, the mindsets, the processes, the motivations, and be able to get its inspiration as to how you can then apply that to your vision and your mission. And I think that it also comes back to make sure that you drive in the direction of something that you're obsessed with, because I think that that will sustain you versus going after something like money or going after something like, I don't know, exposure, whatever it is. It's like it has to come from a really authentic and beautiful place of value for others. And I think with that, nothing can stop you because your intention is so good. And so I guess, yeah, in the direction of being of service to others, which I think there's no better feeling. I'd say continue to be grateful, continue to be thankful. And the other thing I would say is make it part of your identity and don't look back. If you have a passion, if you have a dream and you love a particular field, own it, whatever way that means, whether you're an enthusiast, whether you're a freelancer in it, whether you're this in it, whatever it is, make it part of your identity. put it in your bio, start talking about it on your story, start publishing things that are in that kind of area of field and expertise, and just don't look back. And you'll look in that 10-year time frame or that 5-year or that 3-year, whatever you choose to make your life, and you'll see how thankful you are that you actually put pen to paper, so to speak, whether if it's publishing through a medium, putting it through your journal, putting it through your notes app, how much actually comes to life because you've actually moving yourself towards it versus keeping it in your head and like not even climbing the mountain, so to speak. You've spoken about the mountain analogy. Was it on a podcast today at dinner?
I think you and I were having dinner, and I said,
yeah,
the journey of life, you start walking up a hill or a mountain, and that hill looks big. No matter what hill you're walking up, it always looks big from the bottom. And I think we've climbed a few, you climb it through school, and then you get to year 6, and then you're like, wow, I'm at the top of the mountain. And then you realize you're at the bottom of the next mountain. I think the quicker you can climb those mountains, the quicker you can experience bigger and better things in life. And so I think we've climbed that, oh, let's start a business feeling. Like, for example, starting Third Row didn't feel like that massive mountain that starting Vonnimedia felt like. But now you and I are both looking up at our Everest, just like we felt like we were doing at 21. I don't feel any different than what we felt at 21. Still feels the same, but the mountain is bigger. It definitely, objectively, it is bigger. The feeling is the same. So the quicker you can start walking up the hill, the quicker you get through that. And I think that comes back to the lessons of fail quickly. And you hear this a lot. Fail quickly, try lots, experiment, experiment, experiment. I think that's just another way of saying to start walking up the hill.
Agreed.
And you'll end up at the base of another mountain.
And I think that's what things are made of. Like, it's going to be stressful, but diamonds are made under stress. So if you want to experience the diamonds of life and the fulfilling kind of life, I guess, experiences that are out there, you're going to have to likely go through some stressful moments to be able to get there. But that's what the beauty of it is as well. And I think as well, for whatever dreams that you do have, challenge them. How can you 10x them? I'm always thinking about that. Never like, I'll be like, yeah, I want this. And I'm like, but how could I have that times 10? And then like I start getting into this whole other ecosystem of thought that if you don't constantly challenge that, I don't know, just once again, you can shoot for the moon. If you land amongst the stars, at least you're shooting there. Better to have the thought, write down, try and do it than not do it at all. You know what I mean? If it's not for you,
Convince yourself that
you're not going to get it anyway. But like if you don't even put it out there, then you're definitely not going to get it. Does that make sense? Like just, yeah. It's on your heart, just go for it, right? And if it's not meant to be for you, it won't be, but at least you're going for 8 out of 10 versus 1 out of 10, you know? You might get 4. It's like that bets, right? You're just constantly trying to hit that. But also find the balance, because if you work on like 1,000 things at once, it might be hard to achieve one well.
Awesome. Well, this has been a really cool episode going into your life and how you are where you are today. Looking forward to seeing how this, in 5 years, we can watch this back and see all the things we've learned from then to now.
Yeah, definitely. This business has been amazing. I think that from all of the experiences that I've had, I just am blown away by the fact that if I, say, meet someone or something, if I see someone on TV, let's say, the next day, literally, and I'll have like this funny feeling being like, wow, I feel really drawn to them for some reason. And then the next day, they will be in my inbox. Like it is the most wildest, most extraordinary business that I've ever been a part of. It's happened hundreds of times. Or like a brand that I'll love. Within like a moment's notice, they'll then be in my life. But without any connection, without any reach out on my part, it's just been a really incredible experience that continues to happen. And so I think that's also, I guess, as a final departing note, it always drives me. So look out for those moments where like, I feel like life just gives you these little reminders that you're on the right path.
Awesome. Thank you. See you next week.